Hi, everyone. Let me welcome you to this strategical presentation on autonomous agents and how to build them with MuleSoft, in particular with MuleSoft AI Chain. And we are going to talk about how the current situation basically is in the market, why MuleSoft is needed, and what are the capabilities of the MuleSoft AI Chain project. You can, of course, learn more at mac-project.ai. This is our webpage where we have all the technical aspect covered. What are the solution and capabilities we provide as part of this open source project? But let's start with the business and technology need, what we see in the market. And that's a typical slide. You have seen this in various Salesforce presentations. The different waves of AI we are in. The predictive has been passed. The generative is almost passed. And now we are in the wave 3, which is about autonomous AI and agents, where agents are going to take a certain task for you as a user and will help you be more productive and efficient. And the wave 4 will be something more bigger of the same sort, where AI is going to use its general intelligence to run even parts of your company. But we are currently in wave 3, and let's see what is happening in the wave 3 at the market. So we are being offered by 3 types of agent frameworks: fully packaged, low code, and developer. You can also say no code, low code, and pro code. And what these frameworks are doing, they provide us an easy approach towards building agent. And that's actually what is happening. Every user is being offered, based on the skill set, different ways to engage with AI. If you are no coder, you don't have technical skills, you have packaged solution fully baked into a certain platform. If you have a certain skill, you would like to do something more in terms of technicalities, you are offered low code tools. Or if you're a developer, you are offered pro code tools and pro code frameworks. So what it does to you is you're directly jumping into the build phase, right? You don't care about all those other phases you may want to cover in a project, in a software development lifecycle. In any development lifecycle, we start in building with our favorite frameworks. Could be in Python, Java, JavaScript, TypeScript, or any of those platforms or low-code tools which are being offered. And what we do is we take data from our systems and integrate it with various LLM providers. And this is simply like this: you do a point to point connection there. You get the data from your production environment, from your test environment, and send it to the LLM, maybe locally, because you're using any type of Olama capable LLM, or you are sending it out to a public endpoint, to OpenAI, to Mistral, to AI 21 Labs, and so on, without thinking in detail about that security aspect, data breaches, and so on. And also not why you need the agent in the first place. The design aspect and the prototype aspect, we directly, because the current technology is so advanced and we want to try it out, we don't even bother to think about why do we need an agent in the first place. We directly go into the build phase. We don't compose, we don't prototype. Of course, we are building it, and that's only thing what we are building, but we also not test it, right? So we need to think about, once the agent is built, how am I going to make sure that the quality is given for the service it provides? And where do I deploy it? How do I secure the agent? And the governance aspect. And maybe if you want to exchange the agent with other users and promote reusability, how all this is going to happen? Because at the end of the day, the agent is a piece of software. It's a more intelligent software, what we have been doing compared to the software we have been building in the past. But still, it's a piece of software with a brain attached, which can be very dangerous for data security. So what about all these different lifecycle aspects? And another thing what we are seeing quite heavily in the market, because we are rushing into the build phase, um, you are also having the need to have orchestration in place for the agents which are being built already. Because every employee is able to build agents, every employee should be able to orchestrate them as well. So you start with a simple: 2 agents are built by 2 departments or single department, and then there is a need to orchestrate across these agents. You build another 2 agents to have a bit more in your line of business covered, and additionally get cross domain aspect covered as well. So you have additional agents implemented, additional orchestrator comes into the landscape. And you can see, with the growing demand and growing need, the complexity grows. And we are in the same area like we were with the APIs, where we all started as a monolith. We transformed into a microservice architecture. And now we are again thinking into building these kind of complex architectures without thinking twice how we can make it future proof and sustainable, because all these point to point connections will break for sure, as this is an evolving technology. We have not even reached a state where we can say this is stable. Everything is going to change. Frameworks are changing on weekly, monthly basis. APIs are updated. So that's a very dangerous play we are in. And how can we govern all this? How can we make sure that this is orchestrated? Because at the end of the day, what we are causing here is a AI sprawl, very similar to API sprawl, ungoverned and uncontrolled call out to a public endpoint from anywhere in my organization without governance, without logging, traceability, and monitoring. It will be completely lost. You cannot find those endpoints, as everybody is intended to build agents in the current times. That's what will be the challenge to solve. How can you overcome this security aspect and make sure that the data, the IP which belongs to your organization is secured and fully governed, and you still make sure that you are providing innovation speed for your consumers and line of business teams, because otherwise it will block you. And the approach to deal with it is exactly why we are talking about now MuleSoft. MuleSoft has been playing in this innovation stream for quite a while, and we have enabled organization to be innovative by becoming composable. And composability doesn't go away. You always start with composability. And here we are talking about an AI enterprise. So you need to make sure that almost every organization has this in-house. You have some type of complex architecture. Even startups, you have this complex architecture where you have maybe inefficient integration, siloed systems, and then you have to work around it. The best way is to first implement a composable architecture on top of it, define your noun and verbs for your organization, what matters to you, so you can focus on those aspects which drive innovation for you. And on top of a composable architecture, agentic architecture can be implemented. So the APIs, the composability, the building blocks become the enabler of the AI agentic architecture, where all this intelligence will come to play. Autonomous agents will execute tasks based on those available composability, and these agents can also become composable. They have to become composable in order to be reused, in order to be go through a certain and defined life cycle and be fully under governance. And finally, once this is done, you can activate or enable the natural language integration, human machine integration, machine machine integration. All those things are being possible, but before, you have to do the homework in terms of composability and agentic architecture, because this complex architecture is where we are heading to as of today. And that's something which is causing technical debt. And with technical debt, it's super heavy to move, it's super heavy to change and innovate. And that's why you need to have a composable architecture in the first place. And then all this is bound to security and trust, of course. But once you are there, you have to build now. Think about how you are building agents. Of course, you want to get your hands dirty and do the building phase as soon as possible, but there is no need of an agent which doesn't has any consumers or is not required at all. It's just a set of software or piece of software which may cause security issues by promoting data to public endpoints. And that's why it's needed to have an agent considered as a product. That's the prerequisite of any architecture. Consider the agents in the same manner you have been considering UIs, APIs, data. This is the next step. So agent has to become a product, and agent has to go through the defined life cycle from design. Think about, why do you need the agent in the first place? What should be the capabilities of this agent? Maybe also, what are the prompt template this agent is going to use? Is there any external facing resource involved? Are there internal agents only? Prototype and mock, share it with all the consumers. And then once you have the contract established for all the consumers and producers, then you can go into building that workflows. And once the workflow is built, your agent is built. Test the agent. How are you going to test the agent? Because you're going to change it quite a lot based on users' feedback. So you need to make sure that you have a consistent testing, automated testing available for your agent. So any type of changes you do to the workflow, to the intelligence of your agent, is covered in the regression part. So you don't run into tests, issues, core functionality changes, which are impacted the user experience or impacting the user experience. And once you have done all this, where to deploy your agent. This is also something you need to think about. Deploy it anywhere, on premise, in a hybrid setup, or on cloud. Secure the interaction, operate the agents, monitor. This is super important. How are you going to monitor and govern your agent? Because at the end of the day, the agent is going to use certain models, is going to use certain and serve certain users. So how are you going to put that cost transparency for these line of business teams who are the consumers? So how are you going to reflect on the token usage, token governance, and even the keys of different LLM providers? So there's a concept you need to think about. What is the best suit for your organization? And then you can go into publish it, promote it, reuse it within and outside of your organization. It's more the agentic, it's a prerequisite for becoming a agentic mesh architecture. That's why you need to build every agent as a product. And this is not something where we are now coming up with something new. This is, we have been following for the past decades, where we started with API as a product, from monolith to microservices, thinking about its benefit in terms of interfacing system and what are the consumers technical, the experience matters. And then there was the new theme around data mesh. Data became as a product, and the context was important. Domain became the focus, and the consumers were the business teams. And now with the agents, it's not different. It's more intelligence based. Line of business teams will be the focus, and all any type of user will be the consumer, business and technical. The cool thing about this is we have already gone through all this, right? So we have the common understanding, the requirements, the goals, lifecycle management, reusability, composability, security, governance, insight, and analytics. All this is something we have done for APIs, we have done for data, and we are going to do it for agents in the same manner, um, from the learnings we had. And it's not one or the other. The APIs as a product will remain, data as a product will remain, and agents as a product will be extending your architecture and even making it more powerful by reusing what already existed in your architecture with APIs and data as a product already. So once you are there, you can easily extend to any other system because you have been in your organization building those different domain driven products with APIs, data. So agent is the evolutionary next step you need to handle here. And then we can talk about how to best implement a multi-agent architecture. I know that there's a lot of noise around in the market right now with many protocols being launched, and everywhere you see this master slave concept. Every agent is intelligent enough to discover almost any other agent, but that's already the prerequisite for failure, because you are giving authority to a single intelligent entity to discover and call out any other system or program, which will increase the technical depth and complexity. And that's what we don't want. And there is a concept of something called agent interaction layer, where we define this agent interaction layer, or also AIL, per domain, whereas within the domain you will find experts, which are agents on sales operations. So they have a dedicated expertise on that specific domain and are fully autonomous within the domain boundaries. They have access through the AIL to various systems, data, knowledge. The whole state management is covered, task management is covered, the memory management is covered, and you have the full governance and policies, pooling of agents, quality service, all those aspects. But the only difference to all those other frameworks is that here you start with agent as a product, and agent are all first class citizens. So there is no master slave concept. Every agent is only talking to an agent interaction layer. There is no interaction between the agents. The agent interaction layer is the entity to hand over the task to a certain agent, and the agent is going to respond either with what data it's needed, or it can handle the task, or no, it's the wrong entity to handle the task. So that's basically what the concept of the agentic interaction layer is about. And the interaction itself is asynchronous or synchronous. This is something you can define, but the agents are within this framework. And because they are within this agent interaction layer, we can easily implement it domain based, where every interaction layer is talking to other interaction layers as well. So there is a concept which became very famous with A2A protocol, and this concept is around agent cards. So a very similar concept we have here in mind, where every agent has its agent card within the domain. It can be discovered by the AIL. Yeah, the AIL is the interaction layer, and the interaction layer has also a AIL card or a business card, it can show up to all the other interaction layers within this domain, within this architecture. So either it can discover whenever a task comes in, it can be discovered by an AIL and can be processed further to the agents within the AIL, or if it cannot be handled by a AIL, it can discover all the other AILs with their cards to be discovered and what the focus is. So the task can be treated in a way which can answer whatever the users or machine query might be uh, easily through this interaction layer concept. And as we are talking about layer, so one interaction layer, when we look into it, you will see that there's a system building blocks, and this is where the traditional system interaction protocols are. Events, APIs, MCP will be there as well, and the whole API let is all bundled in the system building block. And then you have this agentic building block, which is having different type of agents of different frameworks available to be handled. And then finally, the agent interaction layer is this domain entity, the boundary within the agents can completely act autonomously, but only talk to the AIL itself. And to be there, to implement an agent interaction layer, you need to think about agents as product. And that's what we are enabling with the MuleSoft AI chain. Of course, the characteristic of an agent is simple. You have a role, knowledge, action, guardrails, and maybe the channels you communicate to, but you have access to certain applications, you have access to certain models, certain knowledge bases, and so on. And how are we going to do this with the MuleSoft AI chain, which is an open source project? It is nurtured by the MuleSoft community and allows you to build end-to-end agents completely in MuleSoft, going through the whole lifecycle we have discussed here, end-to-end from design, prototyping, build, test, deploy, secure, operate, monitor, feedback, reuse. All the aspects of the lifecycle are governed through MuleSoft, and this is provided in an open source GitHub org. All those connectors are listed to be certified at some point by the MuleSoft product teams. Currently, we have in total 8 connectors. So there are 3 already certified, which is the AI chain connector. That was our very first connector where we bundled in a lot of capabilities. But then, we made it more granular. So we created the inference connector, which is very powerful. It's very similar to the AI chain connector, but lightweight. And we have our own unification layer. In the first AI chain connector, we are using LangChain4j as the unification library, but we need to have a certain speed towards the market. And that's why we are building our inference connector. We can see here the Einstein and Agentforce connector, which are also certified. These are more the Salesforce specific agentic connectors. Einstein AI is mainly utilizing the models API and the trust layer of Salesforce, and Agentforce is, of course, leveraging the same models API and the trust layer, but it's also offering a powerful agentic framework for CRM teams and no-code users to fully implement all agent capabilities directly in a single platform, combined with data cloud, knowledge bases, and so on. Vectors is a very powerful connector where you can build your own knowledge bases based on embeddings and vector databases we are supporting. Bedrock connector we have here is very similar to Agentforce, where they provide certain model access to certain models, but also a agentic framework more for developers, while as Agentforce is for no coders. And then we have these connectors with web crawling, all the information available in the internet, any website, any intranet website, you can crawl and put it into the vector DB. And the whisperer is when we are talking to an agent, we want to enable speech to text. You see some are tagged with date. I think this is already outdated. There are new dates already tagged for all these connectors. Some are tagged with TBD. So all these connectors are already available in the open source GitHub repository of the MuleSoft AI Chain project. And you can check it out in the mac-project.ai homepage. And this is a prerequisite which allows you to build products completely, agents as a product completely in MuleSoft. So no need to observe technical implementation and add additional complexity with different tooling on top. MuleSoft is able to serve the need for all those different aspects. If you are an Agentforce customer, you can use MuleSoft to make your Agentforce agent headless, act as a product, put them under governance in terms of what other interaction going through your Agentforce agents from outside, bring them to any software you are building, which might be non-Salesforce. So all those things you can do with the MuleSoft AI chain, but also if you have any other any other preference in terms of using models or frameworks, the AI chain connectors are supporting all those different frameworks. So it's super easy to work with. It's because these connector exists, you can do tasks super simply in the MuleSoft AI Chain project by using these connectors, leveraging existing MuleSoft skills. If you have already MuleSoft, that's the easiest path. And also the current investment you have done already in MuleSoft, where you maybe established existing APIs and integration, those can be used as tools for these agents you are building in a super sophisticated manner. It's flexible. Any LLM you can connect, almost any vector DB, and we are leveraging the AI innovations as they arrive, because this team behind this Mac project is fully committed. Whenever we have new models, new providers, we are trying our best to bring the support in as soon as possible. Of course, I'm talking about here for the open source project. If there's a new model and it might not be supported, create an issue on the right repository, and we are making sure we support it as soon as possible. And finally, all this is manageable out of a single platform. Deploy anywhere, secure all your AI building blocks with MuleSoft API management. You can monitor your AI agents completely and get the fully cost controlling transparent for the different LLM usage. And that's the big advantage because with the MuleSoft AI chain project, you are completely acting within the MuleSoft ecosystem, and you can benefit from all those advantages MuleSoft provides you in terms of building architecture and integrations. So, and that's actually the end of my presentation. There are no questions because this is recorded. So thanks a lot for listening in, and happy to receive feedback from the community.